Let's bring in Mark Regev. He's the spokesman for the Israeli Prime Minister. He's in our bureau in West Jerusalem. Good to have you with us. No doubt a sad day when people are killed in a place of worship. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister is vowing to wield a heavy hand. What measures is Israel contemplating after this?
Well, you're right, Sammy. It's a very sad day in Israel for people to be brutally murdered the way they were this morning in morning prayers. It's obviously a thing that I think all of us can unite in condemning, this sort of wanton and indiscriminate violence. As we're speaking now, our security consultations are underway. I can say at this stage we're going to beef up the police presence in Jerusalem, the security presence to safeguard innocent life, to make sure there aren't copycat attacks. You know, sometimes these sort of massacres, these sort of attacks give inspiration, for want of a better word, to other extremists. And also we want to avoid any sort of vigilante attack by a revenge attack by someone on the Israeli side. And we want to calm things down and maintain security.
Now, the Prime Minister is also blaming, Benjamin Netanyahu is also blaming Mahmoud Abbas. How do you hold him responsible for, quote-unquote, inciting violence in Jerusalem for this kind of attack, which he has condemned?
To be fair, he only condemned it today after a lot of international pressure, and his own political party, which he is the chairman of Fatah, the spokesman of Fatah, was on Arabic television this morning justifying the attack. And if you go to the Facebook page of Fatah now, at this moment, you'll see praise for the attack. So unfortunately, his condemnation has not been unequivocal.
Do you think, as you reflect now on what needs to be done and the steps that need to be taken in order to end this cycle of violence that's claiming innocent victims on both sides, do you think there's something that Israel needs to change in terms of its occupation and its policies towards the Palestinians?
I think the root cause of this sort of violence and what has to be dealt with is this Islamist extremism. We see manifestations of it in Syria, in Iraq, in Libya, in Yemen, and Hamas and these other extremist groups believe that they can use any means possible to advance their very extreme goals. And just as the international community and much of the Arab world unites in fighting ISIS, I believe everyone should unite to first of all deplore this sort of atrocity of innocent people. And I call upon the Palestinian leadership to get off the fence.
But of course,
there's a large coalition in the Arab world today which is opposed to terrorism.
The group which is claiming that, or is in its own words, blessing this attack and saying that those who carried it out were members of it, is not ISIL, it's not an Islamic group, it is the PFLP. I come back to my question. Do you think Israel needs to reflect on its policies and its occupation? Do you think that that's disconnected from the violence that we're seeing time and time again?
Sammy, Israel is ready for peace and coexistence. We're ready for two states for two peoples. We want to see peace. But these extremists oppose peace. They expose reconciliation. They oppose our very right to be here in any borders. And to be fair, the group that claimed responsibility is, I think any Arab journalist would tell you, they're largely more, they're a dead group. It's a letterhead organization. While Islamic Jihad and Hamas both praised this attack today. So I don't think you can divorce it from the sort of rhetoric that's been coming out of these radical Islamists who are in the same political family, ultimately, as ISIS. They are radical Sunni extremists who don't believe the Jewish state has a right to exist, not in any frontier whatsoever.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much, Mark Regev. Let's go now to Ramallah. Sabri Saidam joins me now from there. He's the deputy head of the Fatah Revolutionary Council. Good to have you with us. Let's start with some of the points there raised by Mr. Regev, that while Mahmoud Abbas has condemned this attack, he's only done it under international pressure. The Facebook of Fatah is praising the attack, and spokespeople for Fatah seem to be supporting it. Your response to that?
Well, this is nonsensical. Israel is now used to this broken record of attacking the Palestinians at every corner. It's funny how Mark Regev and his likes are demanding Palestinian condemnation of the attack, whilst the blood of those slaughtered in Gaza have not been receiving even a single condemnation from any Israeli personality. So lay it off. I think, the world is now aware of these games and aware of such maneuvers and conniving attitude of the Israeli government at large. And may I use this opportunity to remind Mr. Regev, whom I believe is watching now.
An attack on a place of worship, do you unequivocally condemn that as something that's unacceptable?
Well, the Palestinian Authority has condemned, the President Abbas has condemned. I now call for the condemnation of Israeli attacks on 13,000 Palestinians who were maimed and killed in Gaza, on Muhammad Abu Dhair, who was burned to death in Jerusalem, and on others who were killed. The bus driver who was killed yesterday, Israel always maintained that he has committed suicide, only to find out today that he was killed by settlers. So if Israel condemns, we will condemn, but Israel wants it all, wants the whole cake and eat it all. And that's a policy that ought to be eradicated by the international community. May I also remind Mr. Regev, whom I believe is watching, that the root cause is not Islamist. If you allow me,
the point I want to make is, surely regardless of what the Israeli policies are, surely according to your moral standards, attacking civilians should be something that should be condemned, should it not?
Well, according to my moral standards, I tell you there shouldn't be an occupation, which is the root cause of the conflict, and shouldn't be any killing of any human being, regardless of the political affiliation or religious affiliation. What's most important now is that Netanyahu is yet again and once again is waving the security card. He's running for elections. He wants to win the hearts and minds of Israelis. And this is not a standalone incident. This is an incident that has come as an accumulation of pressure that has been mounting on the heads and minds of Palestinians, who have seen systematic Israeli policy of annexation of land, confiscation of property, and announcement of building more and more settlements and working towards changing the status quo in al-Aqsa Mosque. So with this policy, obviously the situation that stands today and that has led to this sad death is basically a natural flow of what exists of right-wing policy that Israel has been propagating over the last few weeks.
All right, how would you respond to the point which the Israelis make that actually the Palestinian street is being taken over by ISIL, extreme groups affiliated in ideology to ISIL, and this is the product of what we see today? It almost seems in their mindset that this is not related to what's happening in the occupation. It's happening as a result of extreme ideology on the Palestinian side.
Well, my friend, Israel always wants you to deal with the side effects and not addressing the disease. The actual disease in the region is the prolonging of the Israeli occupation. If that's taken out, surely you won't see the scenes you have seen today. And I tell you with honesty, if this land was occupied in 6 days and God has created the universe in 6 days, surely on the 7th day humanity will be put to rest if Israel takes up the decision of evacuating land occupied in 1967. But Israel once again wants to have the cake and eat it all. They want us to condemn, they want us to do this and that, forgetting that there is the longest occupation in modern times that exists, and forgetting that Israel is now denying the implementation of 63 UN resolutions that have called upon it to end its occupation. So you cannot just play fool. You cannot just take people for a ride and tell them that you have to obey our orders and you have to respect our security, when you yourself is propagating a message of discrimination, of racism and pressure that has been existing in the old city and beyond, in Palestine at large, in fact.
Thank you so much for your thoughts on that too.